Goes back now, recognize the ranking member of the full committee, Mr. Pallone, for 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to ask a few questions of Dr. Corrigan-Curay. First, starting with sunscreen, which is an important topic right now at the Jersey Shore, which I represent for the summer. Of course, everybody's uses sunscreen and worries about the type. At our stakeholder hearing in April, we heard that the current review system has caused delays in getting new sunscreens to market, but we also heard the importance of ensuring safety of the product. So given those concerns, I don't think that the language in the sunscreen legislation we're considering today is the right approach. In fact, in a statement from the Environmental Working Group, they said, and I quote, that the bill would lower the bar for sunscreen safety. So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to offer the statement from the Environmental Working Group on the sunscreen bill to the record.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Dr. Corrigan-Curay, from what I can tell, because they are regulated as drugs, for sunscreen products to come to market, FDA requires rigorous safety data. What are some of the harms that the agency is concerned about? Briefly, because I have two more questions for you.
Sure, thank you. The harms that we're worried about is if these products are absorbed systemically, they can have systemic effects across. So that can be the endocrine system, your hormones in development. They can also affect cells, and we could have abnormal growth or tumors. So these are the kinds of tests that any drug that reaches systemic levels we test for, whether it's an over-the-counter or a prescription drug. Those are kind of the tests that we do.
Well, thank you. So what kinds of studies does FDA need to show products are safe from these risks? In other words, has the FDA worked with manufacturers and getting data that show products are safe from these risks that you just mentioned?
Yeah, so the first thing we had done was we published the must studies, which is the first thing you need to do and see what level these are absorbed. And then once they, if they are absorbed, then we have, studies including animal studies that will tell us whether there are any unexpected toxicities. And, we are very much supportive of, what we're doing, the roadmap that Dr. McCary and the work that we've done to reducing or even eliminating animal studies. But at this time, for some of those more complex multi-organ system toxicities, we are using animal studies. We don't have a replacement.
But are these federal studies or are these studies that the companies are doing that make sunscreen?
These would be studies that the company would do. We did the must studies ourselves to show that they could be done and to provide sort of a roadmap for that.
Okay. Well, let me go to the provider workforce issue. HRSA's National Center for Workforce Analysis has said there's a projected shortage of over 187,000 physicians and a projected 6% shortage of registered nurses by 2037. However, this actually is of Dr. Chen. I'm sorry, I want to move to you. However, Dr. Chen, many of the programs within Title VII and VIII were proposed to be eliminated in the president's budget, even though health workforce shortages only continue to increase. So if I could ask Dr. Chen, if Congress reauthorizes these programs and appropriates funding for them, can you confirm that HRSA will follow the law and carry out these programs? And, we're always worried that we authorize things or we fund things and then, the administration zeroes them out or just freezes the funding. Can you comment on that?
What I can say is that if Congress authorizes and appropriates for these programs, we will implement them.
All right, well, that's really important. I really appreciate your telling me that because I do think that these workforce programs are more important than ever, and any attempt to eliminate them or, it's really going to exacerbate the country's workforce shortages. The other thing I would say, too, is I know that we have relied a lot in the past on going overseas to get doctors and to get nurses. And that's fine in theory because we have such a shortage, but I really would much prefer that, we train those people here and don't have to rely on other countries because a lot of times I think it drains the doctors and the nurses in the other countries. People tell me that that's not the case, but it's hard for me to believe that it's not the case. So thank you, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.